Hello, hello. Welcome to our Wednesday movement. We have been working with our kits that many of you have. It has the 3 balls. I've been promising so far, all we've done with the feet is the softball. We've worked with the softball for your feet, for your hands. We've worked with our larger ball for your hips. We called it the butt treatment last week. Everyone found a profound difference with that one. We may have time to review that, but what I want to focus on for today is to kind of start up leveling what you can do with your feet with the balls. I will say this large ball is pretty slippery. So if you're on a hardwood surface, you're going to find it might slip out from underneath you, especially if you're wearing socks. So things that might help is you could try to put something down on that surface. Try doing it on, maybe it's more slippery on carpet, I don't know. Putting down a yoga mat, so there's something a little bit more sticky, not having socks on. All of those things might help. So we're going to use 2 different balls on your feet today for just a more full experience. You've got your soft squishy ball, and this one's just bigger and a little bit more firm. So I invite you to stand up, ideally barefoot. I'll go ahead and slip my socks off. Ideally barefoot without socks, but you can absolutely do it with socks, especially if that feels awkward in an office setting to not have your socks on. So whatever you can sort of pull off. Hi, Laura. Hi, Jenny. Welcome. Make sure you have 2 balls on the floor. We're going to do a more advanced foot treatment here. I'm going to move my yoga mat over just because this ball can be pretty slippery. And I'm really just going to focus on, I'm going to bring you down low here. I'm going to focus on my feet for this next little bit. Okay. Maybe see the chair. All right. So as usual, it's nice to start with a little assessment. I invite you to start just standing tall on your own 2 feet. The balls can be on the floor ready for you in a minute. And just settle in. And again, if you need to have socks on, that's fine, but definitely not shoes. Your feet need to have their own little experience here. We'll start to settle in. And actually, sometimes it's really nice to give yourself, just to give a little bounce, to almost, if you can imagine your body like a snow globe, you might want to shake up that snow and encourage it to settle down into your feet. So you're kind of shaking it up. We've talked about shaking is a good way to get that blank slate. You are a little bit more like an Etch-a-Sketch than you might think. And sometimes we scribble all over that Etch-a-Sketch during the day, and shaking it up is a great way. Shaking, bouncing is a great way to kind of give yourself a clear slate. So once you shake and bounce, just feel into your feet. Find a little stillness, feel into your feet. Notice where most of your weight is. Do you have weight toward your toes or your heels? If I were to say to you, kind of turn on your listening feet, allow your feet to listen, just get a sense of how little or much that might feel like it's possible, right? Sometimes they feel a little sticky. And notice if your thighs are gripping in the front, notice if your butt's gripping, if you're having to do a lot of work just to stand upright. And then we'll start with the soft ball. So this is the squishy one, and we're going to do a series of particular points. So far on your own, you've just been stepping randomly everywhere. But right now, I want you to go right into the eye of the center of the foot, right smack in the middle. So it's a little more specific. And then when you're there, you can bend your knees and just start moving all of your joints around all willy-nilly. It's not with no particular order or direction. Just let your knees, hips, spine, shoulders, all of your elbows, all of your joints get a little wiggle in. And at the same time, you get that kind of shearing massage sense right in the center of your arch, right in the center of the foot. Then you can step your weight back off of that, and you're going to find your new spot. Points number 2 are these 5 points along the balls of the big toe. So you're going to really step on that bone. If it were your hand, it would be this big bony chunk right here. Not up high by the toes, but really back here where it's thicker. And then you decompress and you go to the next thick bony point there, kind of under the toe. And decompress, go to the next thick bony point, and we're waking up this front arch that tends to be very squished and tends to fall asleep. And go to the next one. You can send your breath down to your feet. if that's something that makes sense to you at all. And then we go to that fifth one. And just remember, it's pretty curved down, right? This doesn't run straight across. These bones curve a bit. So you're kind of heading down a little. And then we've got two spots next on the inner arch. I like to start right in the middle first. So if you kind of bisected the top of the toe, the big toe with the heel right in the middle, just step down there. Have a little breath, have a little moment. And then get closer to the ball of the big toe, still in that soft tissue. So you're not on the bone, you're nestled next to it on the inner arch. Then we've got outer arch, right between pinky toe and heel, right in the middle, just so you can't quite see the ball squishing, right? And then right in front of your heel is our last point, the fifth area of the foot, right in front of the heel, that soft tissue. Beautiful. All right, now we're gonna play with another technique using this large ball. It'll feel just a little bit different. From here, you can put your heel on the floor and see if you can get that ball wedged into the eye of the center of the foot. So where you would kind of feel like what's smack in the middle of the foot, try to find that. And let your toes drape around the ball. So you're kind of folding your foot in this really hopefully satisfying way that it doesn't get very often. You can squeeze your toes in gently and then lift them up and wiggle them. And this is one of those movement vitamins that we are losing. Your toes ideally are mobile and flexible and movable like your fingers. And for a lot of us, it's hard to spread them, it's hard to wiggle them. So just enjoy that for a moment and then pause there. Okay, so that was our first shearing, right at the middle of the foot. Then you're gonna move positions and get the ball in front of your heel. And with a little kind of massage sense, you're gonna glide that ball right back and forth in front of your heel. Your toes can touch the floor. It'll make you more stable, right? You don't want to be wobbling around all over the place. Toes are down, and it's just a little gliding back and forth in front of the heel. And then you can go on the heel, kind of zigzagging back a little bit, massaging that tissue. And then right in front of the heel, get a little smaller and more specific. So it's just a tiny little area that you're kind of rubbing back and forth right from the heel. And then pause there with a little pressure. Good. The next one, your heel is going to go back to the floor, so your foot might be in front of you, and the ball starts at the ball of the big toe, and you're going to do this rinse across. You're just kind of rolling across the front arch like you're going to spread out those toes, and then lift your foot up to roll back to the beginning, and then toes relax down around it to go one direction, rinse, and then you kind of lift up out of it a little bit to go back to the beginning, and then with pressure, rinse across. And it's almost like you're trying to spread or fan the metatarsal heads here. Right? It should feel lovely again. And then the last rinse we're going to do is from toe to heel. And if for any reason standing for this long on one foot isn't working for you, you could do this stuff while you're sitting down too. Toe to heel, you rinse, and then you lightly come back with a little pressure from second toe to the heel. And then lightly come back. A little pressure, third toe to heel. Lightly come back. A little pressure, fourth toe to heel. Lightly come back. A little pressure, fifth toe to heel. And then end with friction, which is just gonna rub that ball all over the foot, kind of like you're shaking it out really light. Like you gotta, my teacher would say, like you gotta have a chihuahua on your foot. You're trying to shake it off. But you're really just scribbling on your foot with the ball. And then let go of that, stand tall and close your eyes. And I want you to notice the vast difference, not just between your right foot and left foot. So the foot that we just worked on, that idea of listening foot, does that mean something different to you now? And then notice the difference between that entire side of your body, your whole leg, that side of your pelvis, your shoulders could feel different, your jaw could feel different on either side. So just notice what that got for you. Notice if the side that you just worked on feels more whole, feels longer, more grounded. That listening foot is kind of, you hear it listening all the way up through your leg, right? So notice if any, or it's more relaxed on one side. Notice any of that. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So here we have the softball right at the eye of the center of the foot on the other side. We're going to do that whole same sequence. It's a little bit more of a full foot treatment here. First thing we do, it's right in the middle, kind of right where you normally would not want to step on anything, a very sensitive area. You can bend your knees here, and because the ball is soft, start moving your joints all around in no particular way. It's kind of flowing, moving around randomly, all your joints. And at the same time, you're feeling that softening, that massage sort of shearing at the center of the foot. So we're prepping the tissue to make a nice hydrating change. And then you can step off of it and find that new place. So the second area of the foot is the balls of the feet. So you're gonna go right on the biggest, thickest part of that bony big toe joint, the ball of the foot, and then go to the ball of the second toe. Again, it's not squished up right next to your toes, way down. It's kind of the biggest, thickest part. And go to the next one. And the next one. Having just a moment of breath, a grounding, a settling for each. And then to that pinky toe side. Next spot, next area of the foot is this inner arch. We have two spots to get to here, 2 points. The first one, I like to go right in the center. It's just easy to remember, right smack in the middle. Have a little step, a little pressure, a little breath. And then you can get closer to the ball of the big toe in that soft tissue. This is often very tender on a lot of us. This fascia is very related all the way up into the neck and the base of the skull tension. It's all connected, that fascia down to your feet. At outer edge, right between pinky toe and heel. And then right in front of your heel. So use that softball always first. It's just great to prep the tissue to start the hydration process. Let that go. And then we do the more kind of intense things, or the more firm ball. For this one, it's okay to have your foot in front of you. So your heel is out in front of you and on the ground. Your foot is just kind of draped over the ball. And the ball is really as close to that center of the foot as possible. You squeeze your toes down and you lift them up and wiggle them. And notice how hard or easy it is to actually wiggle and spread and move your toes. And what we're getting here is that massaging, sort of shearing in the center of the foot at the same time. And pause there, take your breath. Then from there, you can put your toes to the floor. The ball is going to be right in front of your heel. And here you can get your glide side to side. This is a gateway, that fascia all the way up the backs of the legs, up the back. If you have a tight back line, if you would say, oh, my hamstrings are always tight or my low back's always tight, this is a great way to start to open up that line from below. You can go on the heel side to side. You can go back in front of the heel and just make it smaller and more specific for a moment. And then pause there, a little pressure, it's all reasonable. Then you have heel back to the floor and the ball is gonna go right under that ball of the big toe. And here's where we rinse across the toe pads. Just let the ball roll across. And then you kind of lift your toes and lightly come back. Toes relax and you give a little pressure to rinse across the toe pads, that front arch, and then lift to go back to the beginning and rinse across. Do one more time. Beautiful. And then you're going to go from the ball of the big toe, rinsing down the foot to the heel. And gently come back. And with pressure from the second toe to the heel, rinse. Gently come back. With pressure, third toe to heel. With pressure, fourth. And fifth. And then end up with a little rub down, shake, 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 shake. A little friction all over. And then go back to the first side just for the friction. Just that little rub down, shake out. Just to make sure we're back on track to feel balanced. And other side again. Let that go, stand tall, close your eyes, settle into your feet. And again, notice what has shifted for you. That idea of listening feet, if it sounded absurd before, does it make a little more sense, if not silly sense? Like, oh yeah, I kind of get what you mean now. Do you feel like your legs are one whole piece? Are they a little less tense somehow? Are you more aware of your legs? Do you feel more grounded? Do you feel lighter in your legs? Does that change how your body is stacking your bones and balanced? And then open your eyes and take a little walk around your space. And I want you to notice as you do that, does it feel like you have, I don't know, your hips, your pelvis might feel different, right? A little bit more free to walk, less tense, especially if you've been sitting for a while and things were feeling pretty sticky. That might feel quite different. Yeah. Anything you're noticing about shifts that you found? Happy feet. Any other interesting observations that shifted for you from before to after? You can type them in or unmute yourself.
Just feels really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
The ground feels squishier to me.
Yeah. You're that to me implies like being able to receive the ground in a sweeter way, right? Instead of that, like, what is this, like, coming against a hard place? There's just like, that's almost the listening thing I'm talking about. Just like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
I understand what's down there, and I can communicate that up to your body so your body can chill out a little bit. You don't have to be tense.
I feel that too. It's almost like my feet feel more aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
Present.
They are. So I'll leave you with this. So while I'm saying this last little thing about the feet, if you want to take that large ball and do some of the sitting on it, so you could sit down and start with it in front of a sits bone and kind of a fairly fast. We have 2 minutes, and I'll share some information while you do that. But if you want to go ahead and do part of that butt treatment that we did, you just take this large ball, and I would start you off right in front of your sits bone and just sit on it. You can keep moving it around slowly and kind of all the way back. You can lean back around there if you missed the last one. We'll do it in more detail, but for now, it doesn't take much. Don't hurt yourself and just sit with it while I chat. So I love to make the analogy. Do you know just picture what it feels like to walk on ice. Can you picture and kind of feel in your body how the whole body will tense up because it knows that at any moment it has to be ready for a fall, right? So there's a tension that's like, I'm just ready. I'm ready for anything because I can't know the surface and I can't trust it. So before we do the foot treatment and just in everyday life, and we have this buildup of dehydrated connective tissue, and it's not able to listen as clearly. It's not as aware. It just literally isn't. Right? It's when it's stuck and sticky, it's not communicating well and fluidly. So that almost every day on this very light degree, it's very, very light way, it's almost like we're walking on ice all the time and our feet aren't getting good information. So they're like, hey, we're not sure what's going on down here, the rest of the body. So just be slightly on guard just in case, because I can't be in charge here. Like I can't warn you in time. Once we open up the feet in this way, they get this loud and clear message, that idea of they feel more aware. They can listen for anything. Then they can kind of shout up the chain of the rest of the body and say, hey, everyone, I've got this. Like I not only am I in a listening place where I can be aware, like I'm stepping on a Lego or I'm on an uneven surface and about to, roll one way. It's ready, it knows, and the way your body communicates that sensation is partially through the vibration of the fascia, which is different than even the nervous system piece. And if that's clear, if that communication is clear, then your foot can be like, not only am I ready, but I will be able to lightning speed get you to do what I need you to do when you need to do it. And right now you don't need to be on. So everybody, you can just chill out. You can be at a more kind of calm, relaxed place. That's why you get that like hip freedom after you do the foot treatment. You can chill. I'll let you know when I need you. And how great is that? It's just a very powerful tool. So that's just another great reason to work on the foot treatment. I will send to Laura, now that we're getting to this more detailed work, I will send some printouts that maybe she'll be able to share. Meanwhile, you can still play with the softball. You can play with whatever you remember, right? I'm giving specific details, but For now, if you're like, oh, I really loved when we rolled like this, then do that, right? Don't drive yourself crazy about getting anything perfect. Add in what feels good with this larger ball that you remember, and we'll keep repeating it as well. And then maybe we'll be able to get out a worksheet to you all to help print it out and kind of do more specific work like this. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let me
you.
know if you have any
you.
questions. I can stick around. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Thank you
Zoe.
so
Thank you,
much.
Zoe. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.